A yellowish-brown fog covers the view from all directions. Weirdly enough, behind it, we can see with clarity that the entire city is in ruins. Everything feels cold and silent. Then, from afar, you can hear a rhythmic tapping sound. The sound gets closer and closer until you realize it's coming from a man who is running. But you notice something strange, something giving uncomfortable goosebumps. The sound is not from his footsteps. Instead, where there should be feet, there are only bones sticking out, making a tapping sound each time they touch the ground. This is just one of the many horrors you see. Hundreds of bodies lie everywhere. Bodies with skin covered in spots as red as cherries. Their eyes and mouths aren't just blistered, but also coated in black ash. This is what the victims of the nuclear bombs in Japan experienced minutes after the explosion. Tens of thousands of people died instantly, and many suffered from the long-lasting effects of radiation. It's been decades since humans witnessed the destruction of these weapons of mass destruction. But even these two bombs were not the worst. Not long after, America developed nuclear bombs that were 1,000 times more powerful. But crazily enough, even those were far less powerful than the most devastating nuclear bomb ever created in the world. Fortunately, it was never actually used. But yeah, nuclear weapons do sound like humanity's worst nightmare. But really, are there no other weapons that are actually far more terrifying? Imagine you're a designer of civilization-destroying weapons. Ones that don't just kill an entire city, but also leave damage that lasts for generations. What would you create? Get ready. These are the most horrifying weapons that scientists believe could destroy our civilization down to its roots. Once, there was a genius mathematician who believed that reproduction was not a unique trait of living beings. He believed that the process of reproduction could be described using formulas and numbers, and machines could be programmed to do something similar. Although it sounded crazy, a few years ago, his dream came true. Scientists in a lab managed to create organic robots that really could replicate themselves. They were smaller than the tip of a pencil. Scientists designed them to collect things around them, like sweeping, sort of, so they could be used to clean up pollution. But, crazily enough, when scientists placed them in the middle of living cells, these robots collected and arranged the cells into new robots. What makes them terrifying is that they could, in theory, also be turned into deadly weapons of destruction. Imagine robots like these developed to be more advanced, able to reproduce in seconds, withstand extreme conditions, and capable of turning all living cells into copies of themselves. In the wrong hands, these robots could be programmed to reproduce uncontrollably. They could devour every living cell on Earth, one by one, without stopping. Imagine if in the future, robots like these only need 1,000 seconds to multiply. 1 becomes 2, 4, 8, and in 10 hours, their numbers become billions. All living things in a city, from humans, animals, plants to bacteria, die instantly. And in less than a day, life on Earth is completely wiped out, leaving only gray sludge, trillions of mini-robots still searching for prey. Okay, so far technology isn't advanced enough to create these disaster robots. But hold your sigh of relief, because maybe some of those weapons of mass destruction are already around us. The next weapon of mass destruction is not new technology. Humanity has been fighting it since ancient times. That's right, infectious germs. They are deadlier than war. Take the Spanish flu pandemic, for example. It killed up to 100 million people in just 3 years, 3 times more than the casualties of World War II. Now imagine the lives that could be lost if contagious germs were turned into weapons. Crazily enough, this is not just imagination. Let's look at a remote area in China around this time. In the middle of the night, a little girl wakes up from her sleep, screaming. Her pillow is wet, not from drool or bedwetting, but from blood. In the darkness, she can't feel her teeth. When it gets bright, she realized that the skin on her face has rubbed, and her flesh is soft like tofu. She survived, but many other children died within 2 days. The cause was a small bomb, detonated by Japanese soldiers. But instead of gunpowder, the bomb contained rats and fleas infected with germs. They spread throughout the city, causing people to lose their lives. This horror didn't come just from that bomb, but also from the air, wells, swamps, even from snacks distributed to residents. By the end of this tragedy, up to 300,000 lives were lost. We now have technology to manipulate germs through genetic engineering. Yes, changing their DNA to have certain characteristics. Actually, this technology could be used to create plastic-degrading bacteria or viruses that kill cancer cells. But imagine if in the future, we could create super germs, ones that combine the powers of other germs we've been fighting all this time. For example, the rabies virus that almost certainly kills its victims, or COVID that spreads as fast as wind, HIV that mutates endlessly, and TB bacteria that are extremely resilient. Imagine all these combined into one germ spread through bombs, carrying death in the air that we breathe. But the world has learned from the dark history of war. Now, almost all countries have agreed not to create biological weapons. Scientists also have strict rules about high-risk genetic engineering research. But there are still other terrifying weapons. This is a particle accelerator, an advanced machine that's longer than 250 football fields. In this machine, particles are made to travel at nearly the speed of light and are crashed into each other. In a year, the energy used by this machine is enough to power 300,000 homes in Spain. One of the reasons they built this machine is to find a type of particle that remains a mystery to scientists: antimatter. The existence of antimatter was first proven by an equation made by this physicist. That's right, a particle that has properties opposite to the particles that make up the universe. As a result, if matter and antimatter meet, they will cancel each other out and produce an incredibly massive energy explosion. Today, scientists have managed to collect antimatter. They must be stored in special containers lined with magnets, so they don't explode from meeting matter. But imagine if someone deliberately released antimatter into the air. Antimatter weighing just 12 grams of rice could equal the nuclear bomb explosion in Hiroshima. If an antimatter bomb weighing as much as the Hiroshima bomb were detonated in Zurich, the fireball could burn everything within a 30-kilometer radius, reaching southern Germany, and the explosion could reach Scotland and Portugal. But maybe we can still be a little calm, because until now, the antimatter collected by scientists so far only weighs a few atoms. So are there other world-destroying weapons that are more likely to be created? Look up. Perhaps we often don't realize that our lives depend on the weather. Many city facilities are built to combat weather. Absorption wells, bunkers, or even heat-resistant buildings. Extreme weather can even be deadly, like storms, typhoons, floods, droughts, and fires. Moreover, the weather also affects our water and food sources. So yeah, imagine how much power humans would have if they could control the weather. To imagine how terrifying it would be, look at this. American troops once created artificial rain in Vietnam to make enemy soldiers retreat. Landslides were everywhere. Residents failed to harvest and starved. What makes it more horrifying, the rain seeds used by America were toxic. Water and soil became polluted, and many residents became disabled. That's just an example of small-scale weather control. Imagine if we could master the weather worldwide. There are several ways to do this. First, we could put a giant mirror in Earth's orbit. Its function would be to reflect back some of the sun's rays before they reach Earth. Or we could also spray particles that can function as mirrors into the atmosphere. We could also make clouds over the sea brighter, so more light is reflected. But fortunately for us, all these technologies are still theoretical. In the past, fire was only in the hands of the gods. Until one day, a titan shared that fire with humanity. Fire that ignited human creativity. But with that same fire, humans could warm their homes or burn them to ashes. That's the legend of the fire-stealing titan from ancient Greece. We've just seen 4 candidates for human extinction weapons. But even these are only what we can think of for now. Perhaps there are still 1,000 other ways for humanity to face mass destruction. What makes all this more complicated, like the Titan's fire, many weapon technologies actually also have great potential to advance civilization. The question is, can we ensure that all progress is made to improve our lives?